Before there were video sales letters everywhere you looked, there was Jon Benson. He invented the format. He spent 2 decades writing copy that has generated over $1 billion in revenue. And now he's focused on one question: what happens to human creativity when AI can do most of the work? Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Finding Freedom here on the Lions of Liberty Network. Great to have you with me, and looking forward to today's interview with Jon Benson, who I will introduce momentarily. Before I do that, I got to tell you about our newest sponsor, Jason Gagne, and his Good to Go Body 90-day program. Jason is a friend of the show. He's been on my show before, also been on Lou's show as well. He's great at communicating ways to work out specifically for beginners, and this program is tailored to beginners, and it focuses on consistency over intensity, so you build real strength without burning out or getting hurt. Focuses on things like push-ups, squats, burpees, sit-ups, mastering the basics so you can build a body that's ready for anything. You can order this 90-day program through the link that I'll have in the description of this show, and you can save $100. So please do check that out. And let's bring in my guest for today, Jon Benson. He's the man who invented the video sales letter, a format that became the backbone of modern digital marketing. He's generated over $1 billion in revenue for his clients. He's spent 2 decades at the intersection of persuasion and psychology with direct response marketing. And now he's focused on one of the most important questions in business today: what happens to human creativity when AI can do almost everything? So, Jon, welcome to Finding Freedom.
Hey, thanks so much, John. Great to be here, man.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. And for my listeners who might not be super familiar with you, maybe
Mhm.
give the old elevator pitch and let people know a little bit about you and what you're all about.
Well, I started in this game in 2004, back in the dinosaur age, with you had dial-up modems practically, and
Hmm.
it was a little bit different back then. And I wrote my first book, and it did really well, and I ended up changing careers and became a copywriter. Never thought I would be a copywriter. Didn't even know what a copywriter was in 2006. So to give you guys any indication of changing your life at any time in your life. So ended up becoming a copywriter by accident, and I had to write my second sales letter for the second book that I wrote. And my background in that time was fitness, still right, and still do that all today too. But I couldn't write a sales letter to save my life. I could write books, so
Hmm.
I could write poetry, I could write books, but sales letters are it's a totally different art, right? It's a totally different form of persuasion. Is a totally different thing. So I figured out the way that I could do it best is if I chunked it out. If I figured out if I just write one block at a time, and those blocks became text on a screen that became a video sales letter. So I basically wanted to see if I could get everyone to read every single word of what I was writing versus the 6% that they're reading on a sales page, right? If you're lucky, they're skimming
Hmm.
and they're going down to the price. And I'm like, well, they're not ready for the price yet. I want to build a case. I need to build the case, right? And that's basically how this video sales letter was born. And I just used I had a pretty natural voice talent. So that kind of worked really well. And next thing you know, so many voices everywhere, and I'm writing video sales letters for people. I'm not even a copywriter, and that's basically what happened. And that's launched a whole career and launched an industry by mistake. So by accident, not by
It's it,
mistake.
it's funny how careers can change, kind of by mistake like that. So you said you were in fitness prior
Yeah,
to getting into marketing.
yeah. Yeah, I was a professional musician and a graphic designer, and got during those years, I got in my 20s, I got very fat and got became obese, and in my 30s, I had a heart attack. So I had to
Wow.
back up and go back to my college days where I was an athlete and went picked up bodybuilding, and I still compete today. So it's like it's been a lifelong endeavor, really. But yeah, so that's how I started writing a book. I went from my first book was called Fit Over 40, so I was about to turn
Mhm.
40 and decided I would write a book about it, and that's
Very
what happened.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've described your approach as persuasion that feels good on both sides, which is a philosophy. It makes sense when I hear that, but I don't know if that's what a lot of direct response marketing does. So where does this idea come from?
Yeah, actually, I that's one of those things. I'm going to be honest with you always. That was written by my publisher, my the people that are my help me get it booked on podcast, and I didn't even I read everything they wrote. And for whatever reason, glossed over that line, and what I'm known for is ethical persuasion, and I think that
Okay.
some that made that persuasion that feels good on both sides because it would, right, in theory, but ethical persuasion is different than feeling good on both sides, and this is the third time I've
Yeah.
heard. I'm like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna edit that," but it's more, to be honest, that's the only thing they I didn't agree with,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's more like, ethical persuasion is persuasion based on your core values. So, I'm gonna persuade you to do something like this is a great since your host is your sponsor is a guy that's into fitness, and I know a lot about it. If I'm gonna convince you to start a workout program or a diet or whatever, then there are ways I can do that. I can convince you or I can compel you. And if
Hmm.
I convince you, that means I'm gonna say, "Well, I'm gonna give you all the reasons why, if you don't do this, you're gonna die. If you don't do this, you're a slob. If you don't do this, you're lazy." All the negative stuff that you probably don't wanna hear, right? But if I just appeal to your core values that you already have, I'm not trying to change your values. I'm trying to just say, how aligned with this is this with who you really are? And I take it from that approach, then everything I say is by definition ethical. If I'm talking to you based on your values, the only way I can do that is if I talk to you based on mine. So I'm saying,
Hmm.
here are the values that I hold dear, and here's what made me change. See if this relates to you. And in my case, it just related to a lot of people. And so I attracted a bunch of people that related to me. They were like, "God, it feels like this was written to me." And so when I got into the AI space, which is long before everybody else, in 2010, we started writing software. In 2016, started getting into AI. So long before anyone knew what ChatGPT was. I wanted to see if we could make this concept work in AI. And how would you do this? And it wasn't even possible until about 6 months ago, to be honest with you. It wasn't even,
Really?
yeah.
So there's been a change within the last 6 months with AI that
Mm.
let's can you expand on what's happened there with AI?
Yeah, so some of it's the changes that we forced. I think, and not that we're like in charge of the LLMs or anything, but changes that we kind of forced the LLMs into by doing a bunch of builds that no one had ever done, at least that we're aware of, done before. Like we
Mhm.
would chain different things together from different LLMs and different models to make it work and have different agents. Before anyone ever knew the term agentic, we were using agentic processes to see if we can get one thing to do another thing and edit it and all that stuff. And bottom line is there's AI does not want to do this. It is hard coded almost to not want to do this. And we've had to kind of force its hand to do it. And the way that we force its hand to do it is it sounds a little expensive. We take everything that our AI writes for you and then we rewrite it. So what you see is rewritten 6, 7 times before you ever see it. And we don't charge you for the 6 or 7 times, we charge you for the 1. And that's the model that we're running on. But we know that we have to rewrite this over and over and over again because AI is it's unbelievably stubborn. It's like a petulant tween. It will
Mhm.
do exactly what it wants to do when it wants to do it, and then tell you that it did it when it didn't. So it's like you have to kind of work around the nuances of what AI is. And we're talking about like dealing with pretty sophisticated stuff here as far as copy goes. We're not landing on the moon or anything, but we're doing sophisticated stuff as far as words go.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to do. I have a personal clone, and I'm going to talk to your audience about this. It's like I'm very much into cloning myself now. I've made 10 of them. So, and the basically I have 10 employees that are all functioning at kind of like me in a sense, but they're doing different things that I don't do, and they're able to do it infinitely faster. But when it comes down to the thing that I do really well, which is copywriting, I still have to, even with all the training, even with the software we create, everything, I still have to badger the hell out of it to get it to do it. I have to, and that's the editing process that we're talking about. If you're just using AI, you're gonna have to go back and forth, and finally it will catch on, and then it will just completely forget everything you just said. So
So
there's this frustrating thing there that we've had to work with, and the only way we've figured out how to break it is to rewrite it over and over and over again.
so what is the obstacle like with AI? Because I know when I'm talking to AI, it always wants to like please you, and
Yeah,
it'll even lie to you to
all
please,
the
it'll
time.
tell you the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I know with writing, like a lot of AI, when I'm reading people's Facebook statuses or Instagram descriptions or whatever, um, most of the time I can pick out and say, okay, AI wrote that one.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that something can the red flag of being able to tell it was written by AI, can that be trained out of AI so it sounds more human and can relate more to human emotions?
Yeah, I could tell you this as I'm a direct response guy, but I can tell you
Mhm.
that I've gotten when we first launched our new autoresponder series, the very first one went out, and a couple of buddies emailed me and goes, "Man, that's a killer email, dude. That's I didn't write it." So
Mm.
I mean, I trained the clone to write like that,
Yeah.
and it went through it went through our software, Benson, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was even professional marketers couldn't tell. So
Wow.
that level of sophistication is difficult to get to, and that's what we've worked really hard to get to. And I'm saying that even like with emails and things like that. Even then, today, right before the call, I'm going back and forth with one of my clones, going, "No, you're still putting commas where they don't belong." Yeah, it's things that I would notice, right? Things
Mhm.
that a copywriters are. The average person would never notice this, but copywriters want to streamline everything down to take out every needless word. AI is very bad at doing that. AI is a pattern recognition machine. So it's used to seeing words and specific patterns. And when you tell it that you don't need the word that in the sentence, you just take it out. Just totally take it out. Or a comma. I had this conversation today with Isaac. Isaac is my clone from the Orville, so I named him Isaac. But if you've ever seen the Orville, so Isaac is the artificial life form on the show, and so
Okay.
Isaac, I said, okay, Isaac, I copied the first three sentences, and the first three sentences have like three commas in them. I'm like, okay, just here's the way I'm going to teach you to do this. I want you to take commas out and never use them. It's a hard rule. Never use a comma ever. Even if you're saying Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, no commas. No commas ever under any circumstances. Commas are forbidden. They're the
Mhm.
devil. They're the seventh circle of hell. And so it only then did it understand to take it out of sentences where it just seems like it should go. And so it's that kind of training that we do to that on a more advanced level for direct response style writing, where if you're not writing direct response, a comma is no big deal, right? But if you're writing direct response and you want things to have no speed bumps and read really slick and smooth and go to the next point and build a case, then those are the kind of little bitty nuances that I guarantee you, we're the only software company that ever put any sort of time into this at all, because it's such a nuanced kind of thing. But when it comes down to your conversions, it's not nuanced, man. It's big. It
Mhm.
makes a big difference.
Yeah, so you're talking about, at least this aspect right now, you're talking about the grammar, getting the AI to, sound more, to be more smooth, to write like a human writes. What about it? What about where it comes to actual AI learning persuasion psychology?
Mm.
And being able to write like that. And you talked about, I guess the way you were training it before was rewriting. Does it get to a point, or can it get to a point where you can give the AI the framework that you want in your sales letter, and it spits out something that looks like it was written and is as persuasive as you would write yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, our Benson does that all the time. It
Hmm.
writes things that surprises me sometimes. It just wrote a sales letter for a buddy of mine that has a meditation offer, and we ran it through the three phases of what we do in a VSL, and not to get all techie on you or anything, but I'm in a Claude Code session, and I pulled in our MCP server, which is like, in other words, we're connecting through Benson through MCP, so I could use it in Claude Code. I was in Codex, I think, at the time. So Codex is OpenAI. It's basically it's ChatGPT on steroids. Just look at it that way. And so I'm and basically there, and I'm going, but I don't want you to use ChatGPT copy. God forbid. I want you to go over here and grab Benson stuff because it doesn't rely on ChatGPT. It doesn't rely on Claude. It doesn't rely on anything. It relies on everything. So pull this in before you do anything, but go through the system of planning and then go through the system of editing, and it does all this and writes this VSL that just sounded like, yeah, I have a hard time knowing if I didn't write it or Tony didn't write it or a professional didn't
Mhm.
write it. It'd be very difficult. So there's no AI-isms anywhere in there. None of the, here's the kicker, the stupid rhetorical questions that ChatGPT loves to do, or, here's what no one is telling you about, that kind of stuff. That's all AI-isms, and definitely no M dashes. Unfortunately, so it's funny. I owned a design firm before I started this stuff, and
Mhm.
in M dashes, the long dashes, right, that you see in AI all the time.
Yeah.
Those things were actually they're like required in typesetting until AI. AI has ruined that. It's like now when people see it, they think, oh, it's AI. When that used to be like if it wasn't an in dash, you did something wrong, and it was like bad. It was really really bad. So so anyway, it's just weird. So I just basically we made all these rules to go back and edit and take all this stuff out and look for all these AI-isms, and that's why you can run our copy through a lot of AI checkers. It comes out zero. They can't figure out that it was written by.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So with with these, with the power, or not, maybe not the power, but with the refinement that your AI has, being able to write these humanized virtual sales letters. What's the role for humans going
Mm.
forward? What kind of influence do humans need to have on the AI, if the AI is able to do so much already?
It's I was on a call right before this call. As I do coaching calls on Fridays, and I'm in a group of people that probably, I guess, maybe 89, 90 people on the call, and they're all customers of ours, and they'll come, pretty rapidly on Fridays to come check out what we're having to say. But I will. Somebody asked, like, so the sales letters that you're showing us, last week you had no courses in Circle in our. We didn't have any of our courses in our Circle group because it was basically it was all going to be it's all for Benson software stuff. And I said, well, we're just going to move over to Circle. And so in a week we have 8 sales letters and 8 offers in Circle, and 2 of them didn't exist a week ago.
Hmm.
So that's not possible, right? Unless you have a team of like 20 people, that's not even remotely feasibly possible, let alone sales letters that look and sound like these, right? Well, this is what one person doing this. This is me. This is me and Isaac, and 10 of me. So, so it allows you to do these amazing things that there's just no way in God's green earth that you could possibly pull this off yourself. It's impossible. Um, as far as the the vibe of it and where humans are in this, I am still overseeing everything. And so if I don't know what to look for, then I don't know what's wrong. And this is the whole
Mhm.
I've been saying from day one. It's like I want people to buy this, and I want people to buy into Collective to join our AI community. Um, I sure, of course I do, but I still insist on you learning the stuff. I still sell copywriting courses. I mean, a friend of mine said like last week, "Well, copywriting is dead." No, it's very much alive. If you don't understand copywriting now, then it's trust me, I spend a considerable amount of my day when it comes down to my copy, looking at what Isaac writes and going, that's close, but no. Now, if I didn't know that, I'd look at it and go, wow, that's amazing. That's freaking fantastic.
Mhm.
So I'm talking nuances here for sure, granular nuances. But on the call, somebody said, well, surely you're putting things together in a way that's like, no, I'll take a product that we have that we don't have a sales letter for. I only did one webinar for it a year ago, and then we stopped selling it. So we sold all of our and we stopped selling it. I said, okay, Isaac, go out and find that webinar, grab a transcription of it, get a transcription of the documentation from your vault, and let's create a sales page right here for it. And 5 minutes later, there's a sales page online.
That's crazy.
And it's like I'm looking at it going, "Okay, I'm gonna change this, change that, change this, change." But yeah, overall, really pretty freaking cool. And I mean, I'm just saying there's just no way that you could do it. And the copy for the average person, I'm saying, I'm not trying to be demeaning at all, but I'm saying, well, the average person that's not a copywriter,
Mhm.
not the average person is like a lesser person, but not a copywriter would never know the difference. They wouldn't respond to it. Copywriters would, and therefore, what I need to do is looking at it as I have the knowledge of it, and so I look at this and go, and also I just happen to be a former designer, so I look at it and go, okay, now we need to move this over here. This color palette's a little, okay, move this over here. This headline needs to change a little bit. And then I talk about it from copy angle. Okay, the headline's missing the target. It doesn't have quite enough pull, but a couple of edits in a chat, and then it's done. So my job is an overseer. My job is the overlord of the AI. So it's not the other way around. The AI is not the overlord of me. And it doesn't replace you; it augments you.
So it's almost like you are the creative director
Yep.
of the AI.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to know to be a corrector. So I think in 2026, I tell you right now that the economy, people say it's an AI economy, and it's true, but it's a knowledge economy. So it's knowledge and execution together are the two things that will put you ahead of everyone else if you're wanting freedom, wanting a lifestyle. I'm sure that your podcast is dealing with
Mhm.
lifestyle living, creating a lifestyle that you can live more automatedly, maybe even off the grid. Anybody that wants that stuff, I mean, you're dealing with the greatest tool ever invented to give you that, for sure, without a doubt. But you still have to know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, it's just going to spit out garbage. I mean, I'm not saying the AI I'm not saying that our AI spits out garbage. I'm just saying that if you go to ChatGPT and you say, write me a book on whatever, it's going to spit out mostly garbage, right?
Yeah.
But if you know your stuff, like if you know it really, really well, like you'll be able to say, oh, that's not true and change this or let's, that kind of thing. So you still have to know, you have to apply knowledge, but now you have a way to execute that knowledge as opposed to I just know stuff and hopefully I'll find some way of sharing it with the world. Now you have a way to do it super fast.
So for the entrepreneur who's listening right now and they just heard you talk about, the power of being able to go out and find an old webinar and pull the transcription and have a sales page up in 5 minutes
Mhm.
and they're like, that sounds amazing, but maybe they've dug into Claude or ChatGPT and they've started to learn, but they're feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
What kind of advice would you have for them?
Well, I have if you don't mind me sharing a free opt-in for people that
Oh,
they can go
please,
get it.
please share. Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to youcloned.ai, which is youcloned, it's you cloned. It's really what it is. This is you being cloned, and so youcloned.ai. Just opt in and get my PDF. I break down in the PDF. Here's every tool that I use. Here's what it costs, and here's exactly how to install it. So it's it's like this is what I'm doing to get 10 of me. So like this is it. And if you want go the step further, go to the next page, pay a little bit of money, get the one click install, get a bunch of videos and tutorials and tools. So it I look at it this way, man. It's like I was on a podcast uh, 3 or 4 days ago, and the guys got their business guys. I talk about all this stuff. They didn't know that AIs could do this. I said, yeah, I created an entire. I freaked them out when I said I created an entire course, video, audio, everything from scratch, like literally nothing. And
Mm,
that same day, a 9 video course with my voice, with all the slides animated, with all done, up on Stripe for sale. But with my information. So I went through every single line of it to make sure it was written. It was written by the AI, it was written by Isaac. So they were like, and this was something I did 10 years ago that I'd forgotten about. And it's like, wow, this is totally applicable today. So I just made it happen. There's no way you could do that. It's impossible, right? Um, but that's what's going on, and that's what you can do with these clothes. But you just have to know. Again, you're the overseer. You have to know first of all how to set it up properly. You're not using
mhm.
ChatGPT. I mean, I use ChatGPT for logos. That's the one thing I use. I use it for. It's really good with logo design.
It
It's
really is. I
yeah.
actually I use Claude to write the prompt on to write a prompt for ChatGPT to create a logo or a thumbnail for YouTube, and it does a fantastic job most of the time.
Yeah, it's even better if you take an example of things that you like. So if you just like Google search for logo designs and type in some parameters that you like. For me, I was just
Mhm,
like minimal, contemporary, bold, and it'll find a bunch of logos. Like, oh, I'll grab this one, and like it, throw it in there, and that's how I designed the VSL Mastery logo. Was I
mhm,
found something I kind of liked, designed it. It came up with the idea. I was like, oh, that if you added some style to it would be cool. Boom, done. And but the first ones that spit out looked like, something a design 101, graduate that was eating paint chips too long would write. So, yeah, you need to give it direction. Again, if you think about there's a theme going on in my conversation, AI is about rewriting. AI is about starting with something to start with. So, again, if you don't start with knowledge, like if you're just you're someone that, let's say I wanted to get into, I don't know, fishing, I know nothing about fishing. And I said, I'm going to write a book on fishing. Well, I could write a book on fishing. I could let AI write all the book on everything about fishing. I will guarantee you that 80% of that will be okay. And 20% of it will be so wrong that everyone that knows fishing really well will go, oh my God, that guy's never even cast a reel in his life or whatever they call it,
mhm,
ever. It's like, if I wrote a book on martial arts or music or bodybuilding, I know about that. So I would know, what to say, but I know nothing about that. And so people that did would laugh at me. And so that's why your knowledge is super important. And that's our whole mantra, man. It's like that's why we do live coaching every single week. That's why I sell courses, because the software is just to make it super fast, but you got to know about it first. You got to understand it.
mhm.
If you understand it and you have the software then and the tools, then you're pretty much indestructible.
So, where do you see, I mean, if we kinda zoom out and we look at, 'cause it's crazy when you think of how much impact AI is having in our day-to-day life. Like, if I think
Mhm.
back even just a year compared to today, it's like the amount of time I use AI today compared to a year ago, it's I don't even know. I mean, it's a it's definitely a I don't wanna say 10x, maybe more than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where does this go? How far does it go? And you hear people talk about with the economy and jobs that people are going to lose their jobs because of the
Yeah.
efficiencies with
Yeah.
AI. Just
Yeah.
when you kind of look at everything and how the world is changing, what do you see coming in the next 6 months, year, 5 years?
Yeah, you don't got a year. It's 6 months. So
Yeah.
it's the best. I mean, I'm telling you right now, man. And we've been pretty prescient when it came down to AI. You got videos of me if you go back on our Benson channel, inside our membership group, where I'm talking about agentic AI 2 years ago, and no one knew what the
Hmm.
word agentic meant when I said, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you about a term you probably don't know what it means." It's like stuff we're doing in the background. So we've been pretty on top of this. I got Benson and Claude. That was almost a year and a half ago, putting Benson and Claude together before Claude Code, before any of that stuff. So we've been kind of, pretty aware of what's going on. I tell you right now, you ain't got a year. It's the stuff we're seeing, and we're tied into just about everyone you can think of. Is just it's exponential. And so where we're going with this is people saying, "I'm afraid that people are going to lose their jobs." You're faced with it's a simple binary right now. If you know this stuff, if you were to learn what I teach in that free download, let's say that you just grab the free download, you just learn everything there,
Hmm.
just that alone,
Which I'm
that
going to
alone would
do. I'm going to do as soon
Oh,
as we get out of
I
this interview.
guarantee you,
Yeah.
it will put you that will put you in the top one half of 1% of even the United States. So let alone the world, and like top
Mhm.
0.0001%, whatever. But because very few people even know that this stuff, what it means, that you can do it, that advantage will last maybe 6 months, maybe a year at the
Mhm.
absolute outside. But the knowledge that you'll gain in the 6 months will put you years ahead of everybody else. So that's the thing again, it's an exponential game where you have to stay ahead of the wave. You stay ahead of the wave, you surf. You get behind the wave, you drown. It's very simple. And so where it's gonna go is it's a binary. You know it, and if you know it, you're indispensable. In my company, it's like the guy that took on AI 6 months ago that was he's worked for me 10 years, and he's a tech guy. He's a tech guy, doesn't code, knows ClickFunnels, just does a little bit of design. He's kind of a jack of all trades, but really good at everything,
Mhm.
and he just was a little AI phobic. And I said, "Ben, you really need to learn this. You just we're getting to the point where you need to learn this or something's gonna happen, because I need somebody that knows it." He goes, "Okay, I'll take it on. I'll take it on." He comes back in 2 weeks and goes, "Hey, John, I did learn it, and I built our CRM, and now we can get off Keep." And he knows how much I hate Keep. So I'm like, Confusionsoft. I said, okay, fantastic. The CRM's way better than Confusionsoft was. So he built it.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm like, he went from 2 weeks of not knowing AI at all, and 2 weeks later we have a CRM. So,
Crazy.
that's what we teach in the uClone system is how to do exactly that. So that makes you indispensable. I don't have to describe why. So what we did is we gave Ben a raise. So we fired Confusionsoft. We did so.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's loss of jobs there. Jobs meaning it's loss of the software country. But that's the same thing that we do with I am Russ and I are friends. I mean but I don't need ClickFunnels anymore. I build pages in minutes. I don't so there's tools that we're going to get rid of. And not that ClickFunnels still doesn't serve a function, but we don't need it. And there are people, unfortunately, that we would get rid of if they don't learn this skill. If they do learn this skill, they're indispensable. We give them a raise. It's because what part of me wouldn't want, 5 more bins working for me that have the knowledge of, an IQ of 600? That doesn't make any sense. That work. And by the way, let me give it to you straight here. If you come into our ecosystem right now, and you were to buy everything that you needed for copy, for our coaching, for to do everything from sales pages to building a CRM, right? You might spend $500 a month, say on the outside. That's
Mhm.
including your OpenAI bills, your Claude bills, everything. That's not our stuff. That's everybody's stuff, right? So that's the cheapest employee ever. That's like slave labor. It's like,
Yeah.
for someone complaining about that, that's an entrepreneur. I'm like, what are you smoking, man? It's like for $500 a month, and I'm guarantee I'm using way more than I have two. I'll give you an idea, John. I have
Mhm.
two Claude Max accounts, and I have one Pro Codex account. So that gives you an idea of how much AI usage I use. I don't burn through all those tokens, but I have it plugged into Slack because I got figured out how to do that. So I got my whole team on it. It's like we're doing like just crazy stuff, like products in a week kind of thing and all that stuff. So the average person's not going to need but one account of that. But you get in here at 500. I'm spending, let's say, $600-700 a month. That is the cheapest employee I've ever had, and it made my company 10 times more profitable in a month. It's insane not to do this. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me that where people would get an expense thing. But you can see if you don't know it, yes, you would be out of job. There's no doubt about that. That if you don't know this, you're gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we've kinda had moments like this all throughout human history, and
Hmm.
that's how things reorganize, and yeah, it's gonna be painful.
Yeah.
People are gonna have to change, and, I think the dangerous aspect of it is, you know, the change is gonna be painful when outside forces, maybe the government, try to come in and make it less painful. That can just kind of exacerbate the problem, but we don't have to go down
Usually
that
does.
road.
It usually does. Yeah. Yeah.
So the conversion lab,
Yeah.
um, can you tell me about that project?
Yeah, that's a call I just got off of. That's our kind of heart and soul. That's the my wife and I were sitting down thinking, okay, what makes Benson the software different than say Claude or ChatGPT and all that stuff? Well, other than the fact it's well trained on specific copywriting, okay, other than that, but what makes it? It's a very small community compared to those guys, obviously. But what makes it very different is from what we had from day one. It's like I said from day one, I'm gonna do the calls every week. And that I got a pushback from that from a lot of the people on team. It's like, well,
Mhm.
you're this guy that people know in the marketing space. They know who I am. And it's like, and you've got yeah, I don't give a shit about that. Hope you don't mind if I swear, but I don't care. I don't care at all about any sort of like, oh, you're like some sort of hotshot or whatever. No, I'm just a dude, man. I want to get on there and feel the pulse and get involved in people's lives because I love it. And then my wife, who's just a badass, she's like an awesome psychologist. So she was like, I wonder if I came on and gave like a psychology of success kind of thing. I'm like, let's do this as a family. So because took over the VP job a year and a half ago and just turned the company around from a, really a disorganized company. Not that we were doing well financially, but disorganized and organized everything. And so we were like, well, it's a family business. Why don't we just run it as a family business? So we started Conversion Lab, which is like, okay, it's me and her, and she'll come on one Friday a month, and I'll come on three. And we're like, okay, we're just going to meet with every single person that wants to come on and say, oh, we're going to show you a trick in Benson, like on the ads or emails or sales letters. And then we're just
Mhm.
going to listen to what you have to say. Where are you stuck? What do you want to do? Where are your wins? And how can we make it convert better? So somebody will say like, okay, I've got this video here, or they've got this ad and it's not working as well as I like. And I'll look at it and go, I'm 5,000 an hour to do consulting. Don't freak out. Just go to my website. You'll see that that's just been true for 9 years. It's not, never changed my rates, but it's pretty expensive. So I would come on here for like an hour, and everybody gets it, they get it free. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going
Mhm.
to get them on for an hour, and they're not going to get a whole hour, but they're going to get 15 minutes. And we can tear things apart, man. We can say, oh, change that. We think we should do this. Try it this way, and give people the encouragement that they need to keep going. So we're going to keep the human element of it forever. That's never going to go away. So
But
that's
that and
conversion.
that's I mean, that's vital to have that human element.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of a along those lines, where do you see, I know you talked about things changing quickly in 6 months. You can,
Hmm.
get your PDF now and be in the top 1%, then 6 months from now, things will change again.
Oh
But
yeah.
as we look forward like 5 years and we look at this intersection of persuasion and AI and, that being the creative mind behind the AI, how do you see things evolving with that over
Mm.
time as we look into the future?
It's going to be a complete personal based marketing world. Everything is going to be personalized, hyper
Mm,
personalized. You'll be hitting pages that, because of various different technologies, that some of which we have today, and the pages will just simply rewrite for you. They'll simply, everything will be tailored to you, like the algorithm is right now for YouTube. For example, it shows you videos that it knows you like, but it also predicts videos that you will like, and it does it to a scary, uncanny ability. And so many people say, for example, like, the phone is listening to me because I was just talking about going to Tijuana and I saw an ad for Tijuana on Facebook, right? Well, there's some of that going on, but guess what else? Their algorithm is really good. And so it's already that good. When AI has even more influence on things and we have more data to feed the machine, it's just going to become more and more crazy. So there's a danger to that. Obviously, there's already dangers to it,
mhm,
of people doing fraudulent things and stuff like that. So I stay on the positive side of this to say, of course, there's dangers. There's dangers to everything. I mean, go back to the Industrial Revolution days, the start of that, and look at all the fraud that happened there, from everything from, crazy union stuff to the mafia taking over in parts of all you could just go down on
mhm,
the bad stuff that had happened that trailed after that, right? But was the Industrial Revolution overall a good thing? Well, yeah, obviously. So at least for most people would think so. But
yeah,
now the same thing with AI. There's going to be a lot of things that come out of it that are negative. And there's things out of it like ASI and AGI are scary things to talk about. I was a philosophy major, so it's not as scary for me. I love those kind of conversations, but it's still a thing, right? It's still a thing.
mhm,
But I'm talking about AI as a tool. I'm not talking about AGI. I'm talking about narrow AI, which is what we're dealing with right now. Um, this as a tool is it's ubiquitous, as it's like someone saying that they don't have an email address in 2009. It doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Like, it's, I don't have a cell phone, and I made this parallel in an email I just wrote. In 1985, I'm old enough to remember this. In 1985, I remember distinctly laughing at people talking on car phones. Now, I know that dates me, right? I was okay, I was young, but I remember we're getting out of high school, college, right? We're in these
Mhm.
at high school area, looking at, like, people talking on phones, and just thought this was
The
ridiculous.
huge cell phones,
Yeah, the
like
huge cell phones,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And just like, what kind of an ass talks on a phone on a car?
yeah.
And there's scenes in movies that you can go back and look at today, right now. I can't remember. There's a very famous movie. There's a guy talking on a phone on a bridge, and the whole thing is a guy gets out of his car and comes over to the guy and throws the phone in the river, as if and that was at the time, in the zeitgeist of the time. People thought this was ridiculous.
Mhm,
Now, if you don't do that, you're weird. If
mhm,
you're like, "I don't have a phone," people look at you like, what? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, are you what? Do you have the tinfoil? Are you one of those? I know guys that have the real, like the actual you wrote, but people have phones, right?
Yeah.
AI is that on steroids times infinity. It is, and if you don't get this, it's the same red flag that we were sending up when I got involved in the internet space in 1991. And we were saying, if you're not online in 1995, you're completely done. And people thought I was insane. People thought I was insane when I was saying you're going to be buying groceries online, and it's like no one believed that, dude. No one
I think it
believed.
was Paul Krugman said probably around that time that the internet was a fad and would
Oh,
go
yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, Krugman said that, and then there's a whole list of, as most people know, there's a whole, list of very famous people saying very dumb things,
Mhm.
about things that came to be, from the airplane down, to, the internet. But this is that, but this is the biggest inflection point in technology, in business that we've ever seen. And it's
Mhm.
it's one of those things, unfortunately, it will be a business killer. It will absolutely destroy a lot of businesses that depend right now on human beings doing manual things that there's just no way. It's just, there's no one in their right mind that's going to use, or I mean, you remember, probably because you do an entrepreneurial show, there was a huge fad that my friend Tim Ferriss started. He
Oh, yeah.
started
I
outsourcing.
used to
Yeah,
listen to Tim Ferriss's podcast all the time,
yeah.
4 Hour Work Week and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I met Tim the day before 4 Hour Workweek came out. We were both at a marketing conference, and we were lying around, and we were talking about fitness because we were both into fitness, and we were both exhausted. And I said, "Why are
Mhm.
you exhausted?" And I told him, we shared each other. And so anyway, I was one of the guys that helped with 4 Hour Body along with a bunch of friends of mine. But um, so Tim is like a genius,
Mhm.
and he really popularized the idea of outsourcing. Well, 90% of what he said in the book is completely useless today. There's no reason to outsource any of that stuff. I can do it all from my desktop.
Mhm.
But Tim had no way of knowing that. And then 20 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever it was, that was revolutionary for people, right? And Tim has obviously moved on, and Tim's always on top of the curve with things. But my point is if if he would have been he's shouting this from the rooftops that you should outsource as much stuff as you can. You can build business this way. Um, I'm telling you that you can now become 10 people. One person can become 10
That's
people.
wild. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that goes right along with, people talking about when is the first $1 billion, solo one-person company gonna happen?
Mhm.
I mean, is that in the next year,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean
definitely,
yeah,
definitely, yeah. If it hasn't already happened, I'd be shocked if it hasn't already happened. But
really.
oh, yeah, it's, there's, as the solo companies right now, like, I got a good buddy of mine that runs a software company. And okay, to give you an idea, um, this is someone that, yeah, obviously I know considerable amount about this stuff. And we were working together because our softwares need to talk to each other. And I have a dev team. I have, guys that do this, and then they still work for me and always will. But
Mhm.
I'm like, because I know the difference between dev and AI dev, and I know that the AI dev is getting scary freaking good. But real dev is like, there's something there that you have to work together. And so when my developer said, "Oh, I just learned, I know all these AI tools, I'm never going to get rid of them. They can do 10 times the amount of work." It's like, why? We just, everything just goes faster. So yeah,
Mhm.
now I can do it, and now I can show them and say, "Hey, here's the initial build. You take it from here." But my point is that, um, you got guys that are building, like my friend Mike. His whole software, when I saw it, my jaw hit the floor. It's like, I cannot believe how good this is. Wow, this is revolutionary stuff. I'm so happy to be partners with you on this, Mike. Listen, who do we need to talk to on your dev team to get all this? So he goes, "I'm the dev team." Now he's a coder. He's a coding background. I didn't know
Mhm.
that. I didn't know he was an
Yeah.
engineer. But, but yeah, he's a one-person company that built a multi-million-dollar launch out of one person, and I've certainly done that. But so
Wow.
billions, yeah, I'm sure that will happen if it hasn't already.
That's totally wild.
Yeah.
Well, John, man, I am so appreciative of the time you've given, myself,
Mhm.
my audience today. Before I let you go, though, can you, tell my audience, direct them to
Yeah.
bnsn.ai, everything you're working on, so they can benefit too from everything you're doing?
Oh, thanks, man. Well, so youcloned.ai is the place to get the free PDF. Hook up my mailing list. You'll get to see a bunch of stuff, and every page you see after that was created with my clones. Every email written after that was written by my clones. Is hanging out with that is cool enough, including all the really pretty videos that you're going to see. So that, and by the way, those videos were produced for free. The only cost in those videos was we use 11 Labs for my voice, and I even hacked into that and had my voice
Mm.
hacked where it sounds better than the stock 11 Labs voice. So my voice is pretty specific, so I was pretty granular with it. So the only cost of doing those videos was that. Everything else produced was free. So I didn't even use Claude Design, no tokens at
Wow.
all. So I did all these cool things we'll share with you, but also bnsn.ai. So it's pronounced like my last name, Benson. It's just Benson without the vowels, bnsn.ai. And if you go to freebuyerprofile.com, freebuyerprofile.com is it walks you through what we call a buyer alignment. So what we did, we started talking this conversation, John, about like there's values, and that was the key to writing ethical persuasion. So we show you that we just walk you through 10 interview questions, and then we spit back out this report to you. Say these are the words that you should be focused on, the phrases that you should use, the phrases and words you should avoid if you want to target your ideal buyers, because we can deduce your psychology from there, and just give you just some really helpful hints on how to write. It's free too. So.
Awesome, man. Dude, this podcast, if you're listening, share this show and go get John stuff. John, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, John. Great being here.
All right, guys, that is a wrap for today's episode. If you liked this show, like I just said, you got the information you need. Go and run with it. Share this episode with a friend. Share it with a friend. Like John said, things are moving so fast right now with AI. If you are not taking advantage of it in your life, you need to take a serious look at how you can change that. So, as always, with Lions of Liberty, with our network here, if you like what we're doing and you want to support us, we would love to have you become a patron. Come find us on Patreon, on Locals. You can get bonus content, merchandise. You can come and join us once a month and talk to us for an hour on our Mufasa calls. We would love to have you there. And yeah, if you like this show, lastly but not leastly, please subscribe, rate, review. Appreciate all of you. I will see you all next week. In the meantime, keep going.